right, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome everybody to the Planning Commission. We are going to start out with the Pledge of Allegiance, which I will lead, and then we'll have a moment of silence led by Commissioner Ortega. Everybody please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're going to hold a moment of silence for. We're going to hold a moment of silence for those suffering from the wildfires in California. Begin. Thank you.
All right, so roll call. Everybody's here except for Commissioner Skeen, who's not feeling well, so he's excused. I'm going to go ahead and read the opening meeting statement. All those attending should have signed in. I'm going to explain the process that the Planning Commission will use in making decisions and the rules that govern the agenda items or hearings. The Commission is interested in receiving public input and treating everyone fairly. In order to treat everyone fairly, it is important that everyone understand that the Planning Commission is governed by Utah state law and the Plain City zoning and subdivision regulations. These codes can be found online, which contains the criteria that the Planning Commission must follow in making its decisions. Persons making presentations or providing comments shall address the Commission from the podium or microphone and not from the audience. Persons shall state their name and address and will direct their comments to the Commission and may not directly question or interrogate other persons in the audience. The Planning Commission has adopted rules regarding outside contacts, otherwise known as ex parte communications. Commissioners are not to engage in communications outside of the public meeting regarding administrative applications. If you desire to speak to commissioners, it should be done at a regular meeting so your comments, concerns, and evidence are on the public record. All right, so let's go ahead and disclose any ex parte communications. Let's start with Commissioner Ma.
I had none.
Okay, Commissioner Neal.
Where to start?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, as the Christmas season is, and you go visit the families and like that, and I live in the area of Sage Creek and like that, I get a lot of questions from families regarding the Sage Creek. So I keep the discussion minimal, tell them, you know, the Planning Commission's looking at it. So, yeah, I had about 3-4 different families approach me regarding Sage Creek.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Faulkner?
I have none.
Commissioner Ortega?
None.
Okay, I also had none.
Hey, Blake.
Yes. Oh, hey, Dustin.
I am on the meeting, just so you know. Yeah.
All right.
I tried to catch you earlier, but it was on mute, so just letting you know I'm here and part of the meeting. I just didn't want to share what I've got, so.
Awesome, thank you. Did you have any ex parte communications?
No.
Okay, thanks.
So I'm out.
Well,
So I don't vote then, because he's
Correct.
on officially?
So according to my understanding, we are allowed 2 meetings where we can attend on Zoom, and we are official commissioners in those meetings.
Okay,
So yes, Commissioner Skeen is official tonight and voting.
good.
Okay. All right, public comments. So anybody who is here that has public comments here or online that is not for the public hearing that is stated tonight. Any other public comments? Now is the time. Okay. All right, moving on to approval of the minutes. Hopefully everybody had a chance to look at these. I did not have any issues or changes that needed to be made.
didn't have any issues with the content. There were 2 misspelled words, but they're not on the sign-on page, so I can get them to you later.
Are we ready for a motion?
Make a motion to approve the minutes from the meeting, Planning City Commission meeting held December 12th, 2024.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Did Dustin vote?
Aye.
There we go.
There we go. All right, technical review, did we have we did.
We did, Sean and I were able to attend
I feel like that was a long time ago.
that. It was.
Yeah. Were there 2 or just 1?
There were 2.
Okay, so what were the 2? What was the first one?
First one was Sage Creek. And then the second one was it's not AutoZone, what's it?
O'Reilly's?
O'Reilly.
Okay. Can you give us on the Sage Creek one?
Well, let Blake do Sage Creek and I'll
Okay.
do O'Reilly.
And you do all right. Well, anyway, Pat Burns came in with some drawings and stuff like that, and recognized that we still have issues regarding water. They don't have water, but they feel that working with the Jacksons, that they're gonna be able to get water. He showed a map, or a plat, with kind of like a little reservoir. Thing is, it's so close to Dixie Creek that it almost seems like they're gonna be pumping out of that, which is, they can't. You know, it's, the state controls that. So if they plan on a reservoir of any type, it'd have to be moved.
Aren't they planning on septic too, individual for each?
Yeah, and that's strange. They're running a sewer line, but they're also having a septic, it's a different type of machine. I'm not really sure. Maybe, is Dan on the line?
Yeah, he's there.
Yes,
So what type of septic system was it that Sage Creek was looking at?
where it collects the solids and then it's just basically the gray water that it's pumped out. It's almost like a low pressure system. So from my understanding, I asked him, I said, well, we don't have that in our standards, so I would really like you to send me a little bit of information on that so we can get more familiar with it, since if it ever takes off, we would be the ones to maintain it outside, away from the home. So, but yeah, so anyways, and so he was going to give me more information on it so we could get more familiar with that setup, because I've never seen it before. So
Yeah, and apparently it doesn't require the county health department to approve it, because you're not putting in septic lines or anything like that, some sort of machine. But yet the property owner still has to have that machine, from what I understood, is they still have to have it come out and pumped out periodically. So anyway, that's what Dan explained in on it. They had a name for that machine, and I'm not really sure what it was, can't recall it. But anyway, so they have some sewer issues and water issues still. You have anything to add there?
No, I think it's mainly water. I don't think they still have the shares that they need, but we'll see.
I know we asked about that. They don't have the shares. They're counting on the Jackson property to provide them the water shares and whatever. And when we asked about how many shares, all we got was, they've got a lot.
A lot? That's a good number.
I know, so we've asked for more documentations and actual data regarding this a lot in water.
Yeah, water shares seems to be a problem lately. So,
Yeah.
okay. Thank you. And now O'Reilly's?
So O'Reilly, they showed us a site plan. It would be on the property where the England home sits right now. It's the Perry Group is selling them just that piece to put property on. There was some concern about the road that would go between them and I think to behind that property. They want it only half owned by them and half owned by by Perry, and that doesn't feel like a good way to handle that. So anyway, I don't know what they'll end up bringing to us, but we told them we would prefer that we know who owns that road. If it's going to be a private road, it can't be split.
Yeah.
And then I had a concern because we had the Perry Group, when they were at their technical review, they showed the commercial that they want to do, the backs of the building would face the road, and O'Reilly has their store put back and then their parking lot against the road. I'm not a fan of not having that be consistent, so I don't know if everyone else feels that way, but I just think they should be the same, so whatever we decide.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you both for going. All right, let's move on to legislative items. So we have the public hearing for a rezone. So let's go ahead and start that public hearing.
Make a motion to open the public hearing for a rezone from RE20 to RE15, property at approximately 3050 West between 1975 North and 2200 North.
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. If you are here for the public hearing and would like to make a comment, please come up to the podium and start with your name and address.
Hi, I'm Nisha Johnson at 3056 West, 1975 North. I have some concerns about rezoning this. As you know, we all moved out to Plain City for rural country living. I've been out there for 30 years, and everything around us is developing like wildfire. It's very concerning because we're always in a drought. We never have enough water for the land that we already do have. We moved out there so that we could have our farm animals. This zoning, from what I understand, makes it so that we cannot have our livestock and whatnot for these new properties going in. That kind of defeats the purpose of moving out here. Instead, we're making it so that it's person on top of person on top of person. And if we wanted to live like that, we'd be in Ogden, you know. Also, we have heard from physicians about people, you know, this is like a subdivision right next to main power lines. And there have been concerns about people dying at young ages from cancer due to the power lines, because if you go out there and stand next to those power lines, you can hear everything buzzing and all the electricity, and it is scary. That's one of the reasons why that park just to the south of us was not ever approved. Okay. Also, I've heard that as you guys were speaking, we're having issues with sewage capacity. Where's that going to put us as far as that? It seems like we're taking up all of our natural resources that we do have, and we're putting more people here. Why can't we just keep what little bit that we have, you know, as open as possible? I know that they're going to develop this anyway. That's already set in stone. But to rezone this so that the properties are smaller and we're one on top of another, it just doesn't make sense to me. So that's kind of everything that I have to say. Other that, well, that and the neighborhood that just went in next to us that was just barely east of my house. Since then, we have had horrible problems with noise control. It has been absolutely horrible. People speeding up and down the roads. racing their cars in the middle of the night, waking everybody up. It's been out of control. But if you call and talk to law enforcement or anything about that, they send some people out once or twice, and they are so overwhelmed with everything else that's going on that this is a very low priority. But we've now got a lot of young children. Some of them are mentally or physically disabled in that new neighborhood. We've got teenagers and other people racing up and down the streets. We've got our animals that have been hit and killed. You know, there's just a lot of concerns about adding so many more people. So,
Can I ask you again, where do you live?
3056 West, 1975 North.
Well, that was kind of my question too, because you referenced about your animals
Yes.
like that, and so I don't know if this is going to affect your zone.
Well,
That's my
it
wonder.
won't affect me, but what about other people? What if they want to have, you know, they're supposed to be moving out so-called country rural area, but they're not going to have that opportunity to have the animals, you know? Why move out to the country if that option is taken away from you? So, you know, just a couple of, you know, that's just kind of what I have to say, and I apologize. I'm not really used to public speaking, and this is kind of nerve-wracking for me, but
Well, we appreciate your input.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're doing great.
Thank you.
Jim Flynn, 538 North Street in Brigham City. I just wanted to mention that if you look at the city map, the RE15, there's a sea of RE15 to the east of this. And usually things grow concentrically from the center of the city. This is actually the east coming westward. And as we mentioned last time, this is conforming to the general plan. This part in the city. That's all I have to say.
Okay. Any other public comments? All right, let's go ahead and close the public hearing.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, Zoom, I couldn't make it in person. So my name is Chase Stander, and my address is 2950 West, 2200 North in Plain City. I just wanted to make a quick comment on this as well. I live in the subdivision to the east of that, of where this is proposed. So I do want to express some concern because, as the gal had mentioned before, so this particular road, it's not finished. If you've been on the road, it's not complete. It's basically a small little asphalt path that was kind of tossed in there to appease to this the requirements for exits on the neighborhood that was built. So the problem that I see with this is if we allow, which is in a sense, you know, a third more houses by rezoning this, you're putting a lot more traffic on an area that is not designed properly to even handle that. We do have these problems that you know, you heard about, that the people are constantly speeding up and down. This is a narrow road. It's not going to be improved. And even if the developer does come in and improves their section, that's a very small part of that entire road. So it's not going to be a solution to the problem. So I do have concern with packing as many houses in there as possible, you know, just so that a developer can profit a little bit more money. You know, at the end of the day, Obviously, I'm a transplant here, and I would be a little bit hypocritical to oppose building, but I think there's a responsibility to do it correctly and to do it responsibly. And, you know, not just let a developer come in there and profit as much money off of us and then leave and disappear. And then we, as the citizens and as the taxpayers, are left to either fix a road in the future just so that they could profit more. So just a concern I have. And that's everything I wanted to comment.
Thank you. Are there any other people online?
There's more people, but you can ask them.
Okay. Is there anyone else online that has a public comment?
I do. My name is Tiffany Mazzapelli. I am also on 3000 West in Plain City. I'm in the Sunset Meadows subdivision. I also am against the rezoning for just more property going in. I knew that they'd build right there, but I was really hoping they'd keep, if they do it, they keep the lots a little larger or cut back just on the amount that they allow, just because we do have a lot of issues, specifically on my street with people speeding and going really fast. And we also have a lot of small children on our street. So that is a concern of mine also. But that's all I have to say, so.
Thank you.
Yep.
Do we have any other comments from people online? Okay. All right, let's go ahead and close the public hearing.
Okay, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing for the rezone of RA20 to RA15 property at approximately 3050 west between 1975 north and 2200 north.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Let's start the discussion motion for this rezone. So we looked at the future land use map, and this section is zoned RE15
In the city.
in the city. So this is,
That is in the city.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
so,
Mr. Skeen, come up.
yeah. Mr. Skeen, will you come up to the podium? Thank you. So yeah, the other portion has not yet been annexed in. I believe they're handling that next week.
Just to help everything be more clarified, could you tell us the acreage of the portion that's in Plain City that you're asking the rezone on?
The rezone, I'm David Skeen, North Ogden. The rezone only allocates about 3 acres out of the 10-acre piece.
Okay.
And that is up on 1975.
Okay,
Yeah,
just want to make sure I got
according
the
to
number.
the,
So it basically is a 4 lot up on that upper end. The annex through the county, which was being looked at the 18.5, is 7 acres towards the 2200.
Okay,
So the section that's being rezoned is going to have 4 houses on it, correct? Or 4 lots?
4 lots.
4 lots that are going to be RE15
Yeah, in the Plain City
in Plain City.
rezone.
Okay. And then the other section will be handled.
it's not even 4 acreage, it's 2.
Yeah. Okay. What other questions do we have for Mr. Skeen?
can we just give our comments?
Yeah, please.
Is that okay?
Yeah, definitely.
I like to kind of address what people said when they were up at the microphone, so if you'll let me kind of go through those themes. The First Lady Dee, I think was your first name. The livestock thing, I mean, we moved out here, we actually sit on a half acre. I don't want livestock, so I do think there's an element of people who still want to live in the rural area, but maybe not have,
And I don't think any of what he's proposing could be constituted as.
I'm just trying to answer her question.
Yeah.
so. Water and rural and power lines, those things are not really up to us. If they meet our code and our ordinance, it's kind of on the landowner and developer and whoever wants to live there. So it is, as Commissioner Jenkins was saying, our future land use map actually shows this as 15, RE15. So really, we don't have any reason that we can deny this. But I think it's important to know that it's only this section, only that section that's towards 1975. All this other, I don't know what was sent out to people to see. I was surprised I didn't get one, to be honest, because I live fairly close, but regardless, that's not even in question right now. He's given an idea, a concept, but we can't even look at that because it's actually part of Weber County right now. So I wanted to mention for Mr. Flint, I personally don't care what's next door to it. If you want to say that we should grow that way, then you could just start at RE15 and pretty soon everything is RE15. There has to be somewhere where we transition and we don't have everything that comes in just because they're next to RE15, they all get it. So that's not the way that I look at it. Mr. Stander, I agree with many of the things you're saying about 2200 North. I don't think that that's something we necessarily need to address tonight because it's not affected by this portion that we're talking about, the rezone, but I do think it's going to come up and we're going to have to address the problem there. And I think that's it.
Thank you. Does anybody else have any comments that they'd like to share?
So you have an updated drawing which shows those 4 lots that are currently in Plain City are now the RE15.
Yes,
And
I shared
the
one.
remaining lots will be 18.5 is what you're proposing?
Correct.
Okay. All right, and that,
City's portion is just 4 lots at 15.5.
right,
As the annexation goes forward, they will be larger lots.
so you'll have to come back in here
Yes,
for the rezone to 18.5 on those lots
Yes, because it's
That
an
are annexed.
annex.
once they're annexed in.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. That's kind of, I was just wanting to clarify the process. Okay, perfect. That's all I had.
Okay. Commissioner Neal?
What's it zone now?
It's A1? Yeah, it's agricultural.
And the future land use does show 18.5.
Yeah, I've seen that, but
That's,
I've looked all over the Weber County. zones.
Okay. Okay.
They make it difficult.
I mean,
yeah, they do.
I realize it's a concept, but I still am gonna really push for the end of that to just be a turnaround and not go through to 2200, because I don't think it's a good idea to put more traffic on that road, so.
Okay.
Huh.
At least not right now.
Yeah, and
Are you
tonight,
done?
yeah, we're just, okay.
Commissioner Ortega, do you have any comments?
Just a couple questions. So this is referencing 2.21 acres. Is that the part that we're rezoning?
Yeah,
2.33,
3.
2.33 acres, I believe.
I'm just looking off of here. It says
Oh.
2.1, but has that changed?
Well, I pulled this off the county plat.
Okay.
may I hand him?
2.1 is correct?
2.21 is,
Oh,
Yours
okay.
says 2.23. I mean,
No,
it's,
2.33.
oh, 0.33.
Yeah, he's got that on his
Four
boundary
lots.
description. Let me see.
Yeah.
okay.
It's got 3.31.
Alright.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the, off of the GeoGizmo.
Yeah,
Interesting.
just a little difference.
Okay, yeah, I'm good. I was
Okay.
just confused by that.
Commissioner Skeen, do you have any questions or comments?
No, not at this
I don't.
time.
Oh,
I'll
sorry.
rescind on
Sorry, I
this
was talking to
vote.
Dustin. Sorry
Oh.
for the confusion.
Less than 4 acres.
No, I don't on this. I'm gonna rescind on voting on this one as well.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay, my only comment, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're good. My only comment to all the public comments, there were several comments made about sewer capacity, noise control, street racing. I just want to make the comment that those would be issues to bring up to the city council, where they are the legislative body. They're the ones that have the authority to act on those kind of things, where this body is an administrative body, so we are only able to operate within the bounds of the ordinances that exist today. So when you have those kind of issues, definitely reach out to the city council. They're actually really good about responding and fixing the issues as they come up.
Get there at 6:30 and you'll be first on the agenda.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we're ready for a motion.
I will make a motion that we approve the rezone of the property located at 3050 West between and 1975 North, and would like to clarify that this is for the property that is already in the city, which is approximately 2.21 acres or 2.31 acres.
Reference that parcel number.
I could, yeah, since you're there. So according to this, the Plain City parcel number is 19-037-0096. Did you get all that?
It's on there.
It's on there. It's being recorded. And that is for a rezone from an RE20 to an RE15.
It was a great motion.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
I had help.
Do we have a second? Okay, looks like we have no second. Do we want to do a new motion?
That's the way it should work.
Okay, let's open it up for another motion. Do we want to open it back up for discussion?
Maybe.
Okay, what other concerns do we have?
Well, I'm looking at this, this is the majority of the property that's gonna be annexed in, and
Right.
that'd be 18.5. I'd like to see it all consistent, the same 18.5 all, even though our general plans shows the.
Yes, I understand that, but that would be a future issue, correct? Or are you saying that you would like this to be 18.5?
Yeah.
Okay,
I just don't see that being enough justification to do it.
I don't either. Shauna, what are your thoughts?
I just don't want to be the one on record seconding it, so that's all.
Okay. Puts us in a tough spot. Commissioner Skeen, I believe, is out on this one. Does that make Commissioner Ortega a voting person?
I think if Dustin's got to recuse himself,
He did.
He did,
Yeah, he did.
yeah.
then that would be me.
So Rob would, what's
That
his,
Rob would be the,
So
Okay.
I thought I was out for the, I don't know if I'm out for the whole meeting or,
So you would be in for this vote only
okay.
because Commissioner Skeen is out on this one. So just my last comment, I don't love the RE15 either. However, I do think we would need substantial justification to deviate from the general plan, and I don't see that personally. But I do understand what the arguments are.
right.
So now that I'm voting, I would like to say that I agree with the issues that have been brought up, but this is pretty standard of what we do, and it's, the zone for the future land use map is RE15, and I think we have to do that unless we have a good justification, which we don't.
Yeah.
So I will be voting to pass. So I don't know if you could redo his, I would second
Don't
that.
ask me to repeat that.
We should, let's do a new motion, let's do a fresh one.
If we could still be on his motion, I could
Yeah.
second that
I'll restate my motion as I stated before.
Okay,
Does that work?
Because
it's good enough for me.
Okay.
I did not second because I thought I was out. If I am in, then I'll second his previous motion.
Okay,
so
we have a
yeah.
second. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
And we need opposed?
Oh, any opposed?
Okay.
Okay. All right. That was a first for me.
Did it well.
So thanks for the experience. No, it was interesting.
That's okay. That's fine.
You did real good.
All right. So,
I will say, and hopefully nobody from the state's listening, but way better than how the state handles it.
yeah.
Just putting it out there. Okay.
Okay, so we are actually going to skip ahead. We're going to jump down to administrative items because I believe that's what the majority of people are here for. So we'll hurry and knock out administrative items and then go back. So let's do a discussion motion on the existing site plan application for the Burley Bee. So do we,
It's like bitty.
I'm sorry, the
Burley.
Pearly Bee.
That really changes.
Say that 3 times fast. Okay, yeah, if we have a representative, please come to the podium and say your name and address.
Stephanie Dixon, 3946 West, 2875 North, Plain City. And you hear the accent, I'm from Georgia originally.
Okay, so it's a yarn shop. So selling yarn.
Yep. Patterns, books, notions for knitting, crochet, things like that.
Will there be any yarn work done in the building, or you're just selling?
Oh, yeah. The future, I plan to have classes,
Oh.
events, things like that.
Okay, and this is in the complex that's got the
The Royleys.
Yeah, it's right,
Royleys used to.
Correct.
right next to the groomers. Huh?
Yeah, okay.
I don't know anything about yarn, but is there any dangerous chemicals?
No.
Nothing?
No.
Okay.
My
just-
granddaughters are excited to hear that.
It's just warm and fuzzy, Blake.
Okay.
That's right.
Which unit are you going to be in?
B2,
Yeah, it's the one right next to the groomers. Right, that had that.
Ah,
Okay. And,
Yeah.
and you're showing that you're gonna remove a temporary wall?
there's 2 temporary walls in there that were put in. Yeah. And so,
Okay, so there, the inspectors, has he had the inspector out yet, and has he looked at the walls? They're not buried walls? No, they're not. Or anything like that? Okay.
Well,
He added them for separation from the front to the back.
Inspector's here, so.
I see.
And his site managers and his accountant in the back
Okay.
2 areas. So they're
Okay.
just, one's a wall with a door, the other was just a half wall.
All right.
They're both gonna come out.
okay.
Lots of room for lots of yarn.
Putting all new flooring in through that unit and in the hallway and around.
And will you be teaching crochet, like knitting classes or
Oh,
things
yeah.
like that? How many people do you anticipate attending those classes?
I hope, there you go.
What's that? Oh, I have, Chris, I have knitted before,
A lot of men do.
but I suck. Okay, there is a knot on my desk in my office at home of my knitting attempt last year.
All of yarn.
Yes,
I love
would say 8
crocheting. I'm excited about
Ten,
it.
probably.
my
I
wife
got-
just laughed at me. So how many people?
3 grand.
I'm thinking 8 to 10.
8 to 10
Yeah.
people?
It is?
Okay,
I
That's
think
awesome.
I think you're gonna run the place by yourself, right?
Yes.
You're not gonna have,
okay,
and that's another reason the walls are coming down, so she can
See
see
the
the
whole,
whole facility.
yeah,
all right,
You're doing the training in the back section and wants to be able to see the whole.
yeah.
perfect. If you keep that to around 8 to 10 people, I don't see a problem with that, so.
We still got plenty of parking.
You get
Yeah.
50 in there, then we're,
Hey, yeah,
fire marshal might say
You
so.
won't.
yeah.
No, fire marshal will not like that.
I think the dogs will keep them out.
The what?
The dogs barking.
Oh. Yeah.
They're
I've heard about that.
All right. Are we ready for a motion?
Make a motion to approve the site plan for Pearly Bee in B2 of the Royleys building.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Thanks. All right. And then Let's hurry and do the Hatch Estates motion discussion. And hopefully you all saw the notes from the,
Chris Kerrigan, 2965 North, 3550 West, representing Courtney and Laura Hatch on subdividing their lot.
Hi, Chris.
How are you?
okay.
It's been 5 years since I've been here.
Has it really been that long?
That means I've been here for.
Oh, my gosh.
Yep. And I don't miss it.
Oh.
But thank you all for your time.
Yeah.
Okay, so it looks like the engineering team signed off on this. So do we have any additional questions or concerns?
I do.
Okay.
First off, we do have an availability letter from Buena Vista, and we do have a letter from Weaver Box Elder Conservation District, but I don't see a will serve letter from Buena Vista.
I don't need a will serve letter. I just need something that says they can serve.
According to our ordinance, we need a second letter showing a will serve.
Well, I came into the city office, I've made 6 trips, and they told me this is what you need.
Tell them? What did you tell them?
The form says, so when you bring a building plan, then they can do that, but this just says they can service the lot. And that's all I
Well,
was
the
told.
reason we're
I
doing this, Chris, we were asking for that is because we've been burned on a couple of developments already, where we just accepted the availability letter and not the will serve letter, and then,
Blake, where does it say that in our ordinance?
well, there's that letter I showed you from years ago. that
Yeah,
Buena
when I
Buena
asked them
Vista-
for a will serve, they said, we don't give those. We can give you this letter that
Who
says
said
we
that?
will service it. Whether it was Buena Vista or Pineview. Because I went in and said, I need a will serve. They said, no, you just need this letter.
This is why I have an issue with this, because Buena Vista does a different thing than what we do, and we run into this over and over and over.
Here we do.
So,
We were gonna ask the lady from, that Marcy from Buena Vista to come in so that we could get it all straight.
Yeah, we never did
see,
that.
so I just look at their availability letter, on their third bullet, it says proof of secondary water for outside use will need to be provided prior to requesting a connection. So-
Yeah, so that's what I got from Pineview.
Yeah, and I see that, but then that would have been turned into Buena Vista, and they would have given me a will serve letter.
They told me no.
Buena Vista's told you no?
They said, here's a letter that says we'll service the lot.
It says availability, not will serve.
Yeah, but they've got the resources to provide water for that lot.
Well, I believe that. I just looking at our process. And I believe there's not an issue with it per se, but I just know that we have been asking, and Buena Vista sent us a letter saying that they will send 2 letters. One, an availability letter, and the second one, a will serve letter.
And Blake is correct, we've been burned on it, that's why he's bringing
And
it.
contact them, don't come after me. It's
So,
not my deal.
hold on, just to clarify though, did we find specifically in our ordinance where it says
I haven't,
will
no.
serve?
It's part of the checklist that I've seen before.
And it's also.
But see, so the packet details, it goes through a bunch of lots. I'm subdividing one lot. That's why a lot of it didn't even apply to what we were trying to do. He's had a horse there forever, and now there's no longer a horse, and medical issues and stuff like that is saying, hey, we've got to find some resources somewhere. So let's subdivide the lot. So the engineering's done. It's approved by the engineer. We've got service letters from Buena Vista and Pineview, and then
So it'd be interesting to know if you took that in, why they didn't give you a will serve letter.
I don't know, maybe we send them a letter as a city and say, this is what we keep getting.
Or maybe we get someone out here to talk to us about it.
Yeah, what's the difference? Because I went in and said, I need a will serve letter, and they said, we don't do those, but I can give you this.
And they gave you an availability letter?
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
and I probably got the email that when she sent it to me, I can find it.
Well, and I don't think this is the first time we've heard that.
I agree.
I think we've heard that same story a few times now.
I'll see if I can find the email.
but I brought in, and I didn't share that letter with all of you?
We have seen a will serve letter.
Well,
Well, it was a letter from them saying what the 2 letters were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That letter was from Buena Vista saying they would provide 2 separate letters.
So let me ask you, are we genuinely concerned about that with this?
Well, I'm not sure. I don't really think it's gonna be an issue, but.
See, and that's what I'm getting at. This is a two-lot
But is it part of the
So,
application?
yeah, that's where the packet didn't work. It's like, I'm just cutting a lot in half.
Well, from my understanding,
Bunch of empty boxes that I didn't fill out.
the issues we've had is when they haven't had access to secondary, right? And that's what bothers Bonavista.
Right.
Whereas here, we have proof that
Yeah.
he will
I
get
mean,
secondary.
Yeah, he has that.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a meter right on the corner.
yeah.
But then we heard that from Brindley, where the,
That was a homestead? What was it?
well, there's Brindley up the
It's the
road.
senior overlay,
Yeah.
but they
know.
haven't been back.
And they haven't because, but they showed us an availability letter, and we
Yeah.
says, we need that will serve letter, and they says, oh, we'll go back and get it, and they have not been able to provide it because they can't get the water.
They had secondary issues though, right? On their secondary water?
Must be.
I think they did.
But then the other issue is, I was looking at their plats, and according to the information here, the final document checklist, the plats should be drawn to scale and in detail, and don't see,
Well, there's this one.
is that Courtney's? I don't see Courtney's
Yeah.
house on there. Where's the house?
Yeah, there's no house. I just think the property is in detail.
It was on the before one, but it disappeared.
Well, because they kept asking for changes. It noted in the description that there's an easement along the right-hand side, and then the engineer come back and says, we want you to mark it that show them. Well, it's in the description, why do we need to mark it? So we've modified this 4 times.
Can you
Well-
tell us what the frontage is on these?
I think they're 100 feet,
107.
yeah.
Each one, yeah.
It's-
Yeah,
Well, yeah, it
we
says
split
it
them
right-
almost right down the middle.
Yeah, it's right down there, so,
107,
but
107.
You'll need
Can we
a
need to, like,
magnifying
show
glass.
You do. It's a little hard to see.
with the house,
why I
there's
use the
all
computer.
side yard.
Oh, you're saying the side yard?
Yeah, so if you don't know where the house is in there, so where's that what's the distance?
Do you have anything showing the houses?
Do you have the email of that?
Don't you have it? You should have both.
Yeah, this one has the
There
house.
should be some, yeah.
Well,
It
I
shows it's there. It meets all the requirements.
Okay, Sean, look at that and tell me what the side yard.
I know, I understand what you're saying. It just doesn't feel like it's moving it very far.
And the sidewalk doesn't connect to the house?
You gotta have 7 feet on one side, which you've got, and then you've got 30 feet on the other.
Well, 7 feet actually makes it non-conforming, right?
Shouldn't.
I thought it was a minimum of 8.
You know, and I don't believe that's another, but it needs to be shown to maybe a complete, because the application even says show the details.
I mean, can you make sure that the lot line gives them 8 feet on one side?
Like I said, we've sent it all to the engineer with all the specs, so I can dig it up and bring it back into Shauna tomorrow. But I forwarded all the emails I've got. The engineer said it meets everything they want.
Well, the engineer, I don't think he looks at
They don't
frontage.
look at stuff that we do.
And it's currently zoned as RE20, so it fits that.
It fits it.
Yeah.
Not a problem with that. And I really don't think it'd be an issue, but I believe it needs to be shown. Because we're asking for, in the application, for details. And this new one shows that there's no home, and it doesn't show the side yard.
Okay, so the question is, do we approve this with conditions, which has burned us before? Or do we stay consistent so that we don't have problems in the future and make him show detailed?
Oh, what does Dustin think? Has he got any comments?
Dustin, do you have any thoughts on this?
I thought it looked good. I guess I can see what your understanding or your comments or concerns are regarding the existing house and the setback requirements, but I thought I had a plan. And I'm looking at one right now that shows the house on there, but I can't see good enough on the device I'm on to see if it has measurements on there. But there are two site plans on the file that I have, and one shows the house and then one doesn't, but there's two of them on there.
That's probably what we're looking at
The
here.
one that
That's what
has,
your main concern is, right?
the one that has the house is, if you look at the top, it says a before. And then if you look at the one where it's subdivided, it says after, so that would be the updated one. That.
Oh, okay, yeah, I see that before, I see that written up there now.
And then there's the, do you have the 1-6?
Yes, we have that one. Okay, so either we approve this with the conditions that it conforms, or we have them come back with a more detailed version.
Yeah.
I'm just afraid to, because I don't think we should approve a non-conforming lot.
It's not non-conforming. Everything fits. I don't know where it got lost. I'll bring in one from the engineer that shows all the measurements.
So does the one at the engineer show the side setback being less than 8?
I'm not 100% sure. It fits. Everything measures.
But the problem is, if you're not sure, we are definitely not sure, right?
So I will go on record that I will bring you one that says that it's at least 8 on the one side. We've modified this 4 times because we wanted an easement specifically marked, even though the description showed it.
So
It mentioned it.
Is it 8 or is it 10? Should it be 10 feet?
It's 18 combined, but no less than 8 on one side.
So then you're 8 on one side and 30 something on the other.
Right. Is that right, Trent? Oh, 10.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm glad you're here, because I had that wrong.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, what are our thoughts? Approve with conditions, or enforce the code and make him come back?
With something like this, I can go in there and do it, like that. And when comes time for you to sign the Mylar, you look at it, and if it's completed, the way it shows everything,
Yeah, you'll just have to check the Mylar and make
you
sure
have to
the
check the
setbacks.
Mylar and then sign off on the Mylar. But it's up to you, you're the one.
So, huh? Okay.
We're really just looking at one thing, just the one measurement on the one side, right? Is all we're really looking for?
Yes.
Yeah, well, where the position of the house is, and then the distance between that and the lot 2.
Okay, well, if you guys are comfortable approving this with that condition,
I just emailed him right now, so.
we can do that.
And let's be clear, it's gotta be 10 feet, right?
10 feet.
10, yeah.
And
Yep.
can I,
So he knows.
can I get on the, I took what the existing lot and I overlaid it in Bluebeam, you know, PDF editing program. I could put that up there. It's definitely more than 10 feet. when I
Okay.
look.
Well, it probably is, but it needs to be shown, because this is the one that's turning in and like
Right.
that, so. But I'm comfortable with approving it with the condition that
Okay.
it gets changed.
Okay.
I mean, I could do some,
I mean, that puts
get
the
an
burden.
approximate measurement here too, if you wanted me to, but, yeah.
Okay.
He'll probably email me back in the morning and I'll bring it into Shauna.
That would be great.
Okay.
And then if you want to email it to all of us, so.
And then you see that and sign the Mylar. I mean, when I was in your position, there was times I'd look at a Mylar and see things weren't right.
It was
so-
different.
Yeah, so they wouldn't be signed.
Okay, well, if that's the case, let's do a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the Hatch Estates, 2 lots, not sure what I'm saying on here, at about 3510 West North Plain City Road, with the condition that the house, the lot with the existing home will meet all the setbacks.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do you want anything on Bonavista?
I think we're okay on that.
No, we need to have Bonavista come out and have a discussion with us, because you're not the first person with this problem.
Yeah, 'cause like I said, I went in and said, this wasn't in there, like, no, we don't.
Yeah,
do
so
this. Okay?
Yeah, and your proof of secondary water is
Yeah,
that
try to
covered,
reassuring.
kind of covered it.
Yeah,
so,
that's kind of what
Yeah.
Bonavista struggles with.
But I can't understand why they wouldn't give you a will serve when you show them that. That doesn't make sense.
Just exactly what they told me. We don't do will serves, we do this.
I wonder why they don't. That doesn't, I don't know.
Because they do give will serve letters.
Is that too much of a commitment at this stage?
It could be. It could cause some potential lawsuits, maybe.
It may be, right?
But we will address that part.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I just emailed Matt, so I'll bring it into Tammy tomorrow morning whenever he emails it to me and have it in.
Sounds good.
So,
Thanks.
what's that?
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks.
All right. Yeah, thanks. Okay. Trent, thank you for waiting patiently. I'm sorry that we saved you for last.
It's okay, he's paid by the hour, right?
All right, let's
so.
go back to, okay, we just have 3 discussions. We're gonna cover duplexes, frontages, and ADUs. Are you here for the detached accessory dwelling units?
I believe he is.
Okay, yeah, let's start with the ADAUs, the DADUs, I'm sorry.
ADAUs.
It's been a day. Yeah, can you come on up and shed some knowledge for us?
I don't have any knowledge, but
All right, so this DADU, for some reason, keeps coming back to us. And I don't think we'll ever be rid of it for good. So,
I had a long conversation with the mayor, and this afternoon, it sounds like maybe potentially he interprets it different than I do as well. So I think just clarification and what the intention was. I know we've had one of these on the other side of town. We've had a lot of issues with. We approved it after the fact. It came back. We've had a lot of problems we're trying to work through right now. So I had another one that's come up that they want to. They've actually already converted their detached building
They're the ones,
into
I
one
think they've
without a
come into.
permit. And so we're trying to work through that right now, and the mayor, today, the last thing we talked about today was, he said that they haven't even applied for a permit yet, so now they can apply for a permit and we can convert that into, so that's his interpretation, so I think I've got that question resolved. I
so
don't know your thoughts on that.
So you're saying his idea is that if someone has converted it before without getting a building permit, as long as they just come in and ask for a permit,
So
we're going.
if it can meet the current code, a lot of these are gonna be 3 feet off, or they're just U occupancy, or not built, the risk category 2, as you know, for residential. A lot of these are just risk category 1, they're not gonna meet any building codes, but
And so those
Mayor
ones
says
we
if-
would not allow still.
yeah, we wouldn't allow those, but if they meet the current setbacks, they're the current size, and they can modify the structure to meet the requirements, he says at that time, we accept a building permit and go on from there. So, I don't know if that was what your original intention was, but that is kind of his interpretation. He says, we've got these buildings all over town that potentially could be one, and are we being too restrictive?
I believe our
So-
intention always was that existing could be converted, right?
yeah, under the condition that they conform to
Yeah,
all
right, yes.
requirements.
Where you got a condition where they've got a shop and they wanna convert a portion of it into a residence, then they've gotta have those walls rated and be able to conform.
Yeah, so
to
they would
code.
have to go through.
That's just an
the whole process.
example.
It would have to be re-engineered, redesigned.
Mhm.
Permits are gonna have to be applied for, so it's a process in most cases to
But
have
what
that done.
about the ones
but-
who have already
and-
done it without going through any process, but they
Yes.
just want to get legal,
Yeah, and so that's the one we're trying to work through right now, so.
So maybe a penalty or a fine for doing it in the wrong order?
But do we do that? We don't set fines.
No, there won't be a fine, but in, I think I think we know the one we're talking about is the Clifton one. I believe they came to your last meeting. No permits were obtained. They did an ADU with no permits. Then when they went to get financing, the bank says we need certificate of occupancy. They don't have, and so now they're trying to work backwards. In their case, just to bring it in compliance is gonna be thousands of dollars. And so they're gonna, in order to get it compliant now, it's potentially gonna cost them more than if they would've just done it right to begin with. So that's
So-
penalty enough, I think, in their case.
So they would have to re-engineer it, redo the walls, everything.
Yeah,
And
they have to strip, and Jared, you can probably remember, 30% has to be removed, of drywall would have to be removed, for inspection, so it's a
So you can see the
major
wall cavity. Yeah.
30%?
and is
I
that,
believe so, off the top of my head, 20-30%. It's some,
Not much in the
yeah.
residential code, so yeah.
So, but it's a
and that's gonna
significant
require a
amount.
building permit, correct?
So they would have to come in order to make this compliant, they would have, first thing would be a DADU application, engineered plans, building permit. They're gonna have to pay all the fees that were never paid, the building permit fees, the impact fees that were never paid. Engineers gonna have to go in and say, what does it take to bring this from a risk category 1 to a risk category 2 building? It's a major undertaking to do what they need to do. The mayor and I went through all that this afternoon, and he's had that conversation with them.
But let's just say that there was one that came in and it met code and it was okay, but they didn't go through the right steps. Could we just agree that the logical penalty for that is they need to pay for a building permit?
Well, so the problem with that is, if I give them occupancy, that's me signing off that I've been inspected and everything meets current codes. If I can't see any of that, then I'm putting my name on. They could turn around and sell that in a year. I don't know. The next guy's gonna come along and get something that's
You're
potentially
putting yourself at
non-conforming.
risk.
So I put myself at risk by signing off on something that's already done. So, and I'm not willing to do that.
No, I think you're
Because they
absolutely
can
right.
come after me personally, not just the city or
Well, and
something like that.
actually,
That's
there's a home in my
negligence, you know.
neighborhood that they didn't pour footings on their third-car garage, and it affected a sale of the home,
Yeah.
so, for sure, I
So-
agree with you.
I think the reason, now I'm backing up a little bit, they have to tear out those walls is because there was no four-way inspection done.
Correct.
You know, you have to inspect the framing, the electrical, the plumbing, and in order to do that, you have to see inside the framing.
Right.
That's why you have to tear out, and the code, requires 30% on a remodel.
There's a number in there, and I don't,
Yeah.
I think 30.
I honestly couldn't tell you
Yeah.
either, but that's, so an inspector can see that they're compliant.
Okay, so regardless of whether it meets code in the end, they still need to go through that process of
They
getting
do.
the correct inspections done.
Mm-hmm.
So as an inspector though, let's say I build a garage that conforms to that. Will my original plan show that, or would you still need to do an inspection on it 20 years later?
No, you're still gonna need new plans because you're gonna have to show, simple stuff, ingress, egress, egress windows. You gotta have your main 3-foot front door. You've gotta have all those things. They're gonna meet the ADU requirements, the DADU requirements. That makes sense. So yeah, you can take a garage and finish a portion of it and bring it up to those codes, but we would have to have plans and engineering for all that.
Yeah, actually, I agree with that. Yeah,
Me too.
it makes sense.
I'm glad you guys do, because, I of course I would as well. I mean, and Trent's right. You don't want to put the onus on Trent and have
I
him.
just don't even think we can ask him to. It's
No, that's,
No, I
Personal
won't, yeah.
liability,
Yeah.
yeah.
There's too much liability, so.
and I can say where I've been asked to do things like that professionally, I have stepped away from it. Not done the work.
So based on that, if we all agree with that, does the current ordinance support that?
Yes, so the current ordinance would not need to be changed at all, I don't think, so.
Okay.
Because right on here on B, it says, what about an existing building that meets code?
So that was just something that was added to that though, right? That's what our.
Right, somebody's notes. So, but we don't want to add that because
No.
that would maybe excuse an existing, and we don't want to do that.
So what we're saying is that even an existing building that could potentially conform they have to go through the DADU application, building permit process, just like any other building, just like if it was a new building.
Got it.
The only issue that we're gonna have now is this is gonna drive people to not tell us about it, right?
Potentially.
Which, that's out of our hands.
It is out of your hands
There's-
because
Yeah,
Yeah.
the only alternative,
And I think there's
Can't do
probably
it.
several throughout the city that we're unaware of, and
Until there's an issue.
until there's an
Until there's
issue,
an
we don't know
issue.
about them, so.
Yeah,
which, if we don't know about it, we're not liable for it, correct?
I would assume so, yes.
Okay.
I don't know how we could possibly not being aware of it, you know.
Well, what it's gonna come down to is, you do it the legal way and it costs you 20 grand, or you lie about it. And you,
it cost you 30 grand.
yeah, eventually it does, right? But, I don't know,
That's
that's tough. So, okay.
I think insurance companies would come out and take a look and stuff like that.
They should, they're the ones with the vested interest in that, right?
Did you have a permit? No. They'll come to the city. Were you aware of this? No. So it really makes it a hard
Yes.
case for them to come to the city. You know, that's sad that that happens, but it has happened.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, you don't have to stay, but if you wanna stay, we're gonna talk about duplexes and frontage.
Oh, I'm gonna stay.
Okay.
Can we finish this though? Because there's other things on here.
Oh,
that-
yeah, on the DADU?
Mhm.
Okay, yeah.
So on the second page, number 4 is highlighted and asking about side yards are sometimes bigger than backyards. I mean, we had one come in that it was a side yard, but my wanting that 25% in the rear yard is because I don't want a DADU to look like another home along the street. It needs to be set back so it doesn't look like just more homes.
Well, so we decided, though, you could have a super long skinny one that's flush with the front of the house, but still have 25% of it in the back, theoretically, right?
Theoretically.
That'd be an awfully long.
It would be awful, but it could happen.
Yeah, it could. But the
I
intent
just am
was,
saying, I don't wanna take that off.
I
It
agree.
At least needs to be 25% in the back.
Yeah, otherwise you're gonna have it too far forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was very supportive when we put that in originally. I didn't see any issues with it. And I don't think anybody has come to us with issues with it, right?
not with that condition.
Yeah.
Can I comment?
Of course. I think.
Who's
Sorry
this?
to, sorry to
Sorry, I thought it
interrupt.
was Dustin.
So this is Chase Stander. I didn't know
Chase
if I was allowed to comment on this.
So, I'm sorry, technically, Chase, I'm sorry, but you're technically not allowed to comment on this. I'm sorry.
Okay.
If you do have comments, though, please attend either the next meeting or city council, and you can bring it up in public comments at that time. And I'm
Okay.
sorry, that's not just us being mean, those are the rules.
And it's just a discussion tonight. There's no motion.
Yeah, we're not doing any changes on this, so.
Right. No, I didn't know it was on the agenda, so that was why I would have commented at the beginning.
Okay.
Okay, next time,
No.
thank you.
Got it.
So then the other thing is on the page 1, it looks like someone's crossed out if the detached accessory dwelling unit is a rental, and they want to take that language out and just say it will be required just automatically. And I personally don't agree with that, but I'm just one voice.
So when we put that in there, didn't we kind of decide that this would be a mother-in-law type thing where your family could be staying there?
Mhm.
So do we care if they have a license if it's family? Is that kind of where you're getting with that?
Yes.
I don't have a problem with that, but if they rent it out,
That's why we put if
Yes.
that's a rental.
If it is a rental, they
but the thing
should.
is crossed out.
But right, they're asking if we should
These are
make that.
suggestions, yeah.
Trent, do you have an opinion? If it's not a rental, do you care if it's just family?
No one's gonna tell you they rent it, is my only comment.
That's true.
So,
Okay.
but I can see, and that goes back, because
This is what I would
short-term
prefer.
rentals.
I just think there needs to be a fee. I don't think it should be a home occupation business license. I think there should just be some kind of a,
So if you have your mother-in-law or your kids that are paying you rent.
whatever it is, there should just be something to be able to have that. You have a yearly inspection or something and it costs, I don't know, but I
As a
just don't
s-
think it should be under a business license.
Plain City doesn't have that kind of a fee today, right, that we could put on there?
We just, on the home occupation, or the accessory dwelling, what is this? This is the application?
It says home occupation license application.
That's a one-time thing.
There's a one-time application.
Yeah.
You know,
for the ADU.
it's,
It's just a one-time, and so then the thought was that if they're running this as a rental, that we would charge them a yearly.
well, we had a gentleman come in here the other day, last meeting, said he paid it and he was told he has to renew it every year.
Yes,
So-
so business, home occupation business license is renewed every year. So they would have to renew this every year as a business license.
So I vaguely remember this conversation. We wanted that to ensure, we didn't want somebody to rent something out and have 10 or 15 renters go through it without doing more inspections. Does that sound familiar to anybody?
Yeah, yes, because I do that, you know. I have my cabin up there. I have a business license for my cabin, but I renew it every 2 years. And every 2 years, I have an inspector come out and inspect it.
I think,
But you're renting it,
True.
right?
correct. And I think that was, for me personally, that was the intent here, is if you're having renters come through frequently, you should be getting somewhat frequent inspections on it.
I just don't know how it made it on the checklist when the ordinance just says if it's a rental unit. And on here, they're requiring it.
That's a good point. If it's not a requirement
currently-
100% of the time. Sorry, Dustin, go ahead.
Are we currently doing inspections on rental properties in Plain City right now? Does anyone know?
Trent, would it be you that's doing those?
No, we don't. I mean, we do an initial business license inspection, and then after that, we don't do a.
So every year they renew it.
They just do a renewal every year, yeah.
So
Unless
it's
there's
not-
problems or complaints, and we'll address those when they come up.
So if
The
the
one
intent,
inspection when they do the business license originally,
so if the intent is to get an inspection, that's not happening.
no.
Okay. Well, if that's the case, do we care that they have a business license?
I don't.
Trent, do you care?
I think they should have a business license, they're renting it, but a lot of these are,
Yeah,
It depends on
the
what
only
it's-
issue I have
What's
is,
that?
every one of these that has come in, they're telling us they're not renting them. Oh, we're not gonna rent that, but you know as well as I do that they're gonna be rentals at some point, so.
But I
How
also.
do we track which ones are rented and which ones aren't?
So if
We
the,
don't.
Our
if the
thought as staff
problem
was
is,
if we charge it, just make everybody pay it, then that's,
so if the problem is that they're renting, so you need a business license, but then the business license, all it does is say that they're renting, like, what does that matter? Is it better numbers for us? Like, what's the reason that you need to know?
I would think that they would need that for their tax income from their rental.
They're probably not reporting that, though.
Yeah, but I mean, that's not hard, you know, if
Yeah,
they wanna
right.
lie about it.
No,
then
you're right.
they lie about it, and I don't
You're
think
right.
it's causing us any problems, and so.
I'm just not sure what it accomplishes. That's all I'm saying. I don't.
It just makes it so you make sure you have a, and I don't think it has to be yearly. You know, like I said, ours every 2 years.
I'd be
But
more
an
inclined
but an
to
inspection.
go along with that if it was every 2 years and it included an inspection.
Yeah.
That makes sense, but
Does
if
yours
it's
require-
just to say they're gonna do it anyway or say it's not a rental, then
But what
I
they
don't
do
think
is
we're accomplishing anything.
they go through and they look for my fire extinguishers to make sure my septic tank's pumped out. They test I have to have my water test done for my well.
But you do that because you keep renting it.
Yep.
They're just gonna pay it once and then just say we don't rent it anymore.
So,
Well-
okay, but again, so going back to Rob's comment, whether or not they lie is not our business.
That's right.
Right? We should do this regardless of what they're going to do. If they're going to rent it, they should probably be treating it as a business, which means they should have a business license. So,
But then again, my folks had duplexes, which, rentals, basically, in Ogden. And I know they never had a business license, and they had multiple rentals.
and again, the thing is, if I build one for my kids, that's family living in my house, right? I don't think that should require a business license personally. I think I like the verbiage, if it's a rental. I like it as is. I don't see any issues.
Can I make one comment?
Yeah.
I think there's a difference too between short-term and long-term rentals. Like most of the Airbnbs that you go into will have like occupancy notes in there and they'll have the fire extinguishers and they'll have all those things. But like if I go to rent a duplex somewhere in Ogden as a long-term rental, none of that stuff is there. So I think there's different codes that apply to short-term properties set up as short-term rentals and properties set up as long-term rentals.
I agree with that, but also these cannot be rented that way. That's already in the ordinance.
Yeah, we don't do short-term rentals, right?
Right.
Yeah, no, exactly. So that my comment of those things is kind of more in context with, I don't know that it is necessary as being the same thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if it's something that's a long-term rental, like, I'm just trying to envision this, like, if there was townhome complexes, I don't think once those turn into rentals that the cities have to go and inspect them every year. If it was set up through the city business license as a short-term rental, then I do think it would be inspected more often. So I think it kind of depends what type of rental it is. We don't have the short-term rentals, so I don't think there needs to be any inspections after they've been approved initially as a dwelling, like Trent was saying. So I think the one-time fee makes sense, and then after that, it's.
I think you're gonna see some short-term rentals coming up, especially if the Olympics coming.
Yeah, I think that's gonna see.
And so maybe we need to address that, but I don't think this is the ordinance for that, right?
Agreed, because you could do a short-term rental in your house, not in an accessory building, right? Theoretically, if the Olympics are coming.
And who wants to oversee that?
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll be renting out their homes for short-term, and plus, who says they won't?
Well, I said this in a month, but
BAD.
why do we care? Why do we not like those? I'm just confused about why do we not like that?
What, short-term?
Short-term, or a BRB, whatever they're called.
The Airbnbs.
Airbnb.
Airbnb.
Well, we have, the agency I go through, they collect from HomeAway, RBO, Verbo, and Airbnb, and another one. Oh, Rental Advisor.
So is there a reason, though, we don't want those in the city? I don't understand why.
Of course, this is my personal opinion, we don't have any issues. And we've been renting for now 20 years.
I think in some ways they keep the property up nicer because they want to have it look good.
Oh, I have one couple that comes every year, and they almost have like ownership. They want to know what they can do. And
Getting too close, Blake. Be careful.
All right, so based on this current ordinance, do we see a need to change that sentence?
No, but the application needs to change.
Okay.
Because the application says primary owner required to have a home occupation license, and I think that's wrong. It's not even in the ordinance.
I agree with that. That should probably be listed as optional or I don't know if
It should
optional is
say
the right
if
word.
rented.
If applicable.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too,
Yeah.
Sean. It says
Yeah,
something
if
along the
rented,
lines.
yeah.
If rented,
If rented at the first of that, we're good.
yeah.
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 And then the next one, under general regulations on that application, it says owner occupied, owner occupies primary building. The ordinance just says the owner has to live in one of the two buildings.
Do I need to change anything? Or
Yes.
It says owner occupied, and in parentheses, owner occupies primary dwelling right now.
is this on the application?
Oh,
Yeah, it's on the application. And Shauna, you're saying rephrase that to say owner occupies one of the two.
Yes. And I think that protects us a little bit. I think when the owner lives in one of the two, it's not the same as like a duplex where you're both renting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty good, because then For the
It's-
example, if I went and put one behind my home and like that, make it a single level, instead of having a double,
It would be more
and be it for
logical for
one
you to
person.
move in the smaller one.
Right, and rent out the house.
Okay, that was a few changes. Okay, anything else on this one?
That's all I had. I've talked a lot, sorry.
Okay. No, it was a good discussion, good
Like
changes. The mayor might not love that we
No,
didn't
they-
change any of his stuff that he wanted.
Yeah. They,
The problem that we're running into is, I feel like we're in this reactive mode where we just made this ordinance a year or two ago, and everybody's coming in and wanting something changed. And I don't think we can keep doing that forever, so.
I
getting
think
tough.
when we made the ordinance, I think we were pretty thorough to make it make sense. So I don't think we should change it just to make it easier for, sorry.
I agree. Okay, all right, moving on, let's talk about duplexes. So Trent, while you're here, can I ask you, when the mayor talks about duplexes, sorry, he talks about twin homes.
yes.
That's the same thing as a duplex, or is it slightly different?
Okay, so we're skipping a little ahead, but in city council, the mayor asked about that, and I said, when you say twin homes, what are you talking about?
Twin homes, you could own your portion of it and not rent.
Well, according to the mayor, a twin home was a home where there was a dividing wall between the two structures, like a party wall.
When I was first married, twin homes were all the rage, but you owned your portion of it.
Right.
But they can be owned separately.
They could be owned
That's correct.
separately.
Basically, the wall is the
You
property
just shared a
line.
wall.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, the wall is shared in the property.
So what's the difference between that and a duplex?
That was my question.
The
to-
duplex can be rented both sides.
So twin homes, one side has to be owned?
Twin homes are you own both sides. You sell the home. It's a home, not a rental.
But a
I
duplex
suppose
be
you could
treated that
buy
way,
it
right?
and you could rent it, but you can have different owners for each side of it. A duplex, one person owns the whole duplex.
Oh, okay, so duplex, you buy the whole thing.
Yes, basically, so I just looked it up. This is
Okay.
not a good source, Realtor.com. A twin home is
Yeah.
two properties on two lots, separate.
Yes.
Oh,
Duplex
the
is
The
two
lot line is
properties
at
on
0.
one lot.
So twin home, the lots are separated.
Yes, and you have a 0 lot line.
And a
down.
duplex, they're on the same property.
I don't know how much that changes, but it is different. So the mayor wants twin homes then? We don't have that in our ordinance at all today? You cannot do a twin
No,
home?
so talking to the mayor, that's kind of what I got with them was, if we did that, I think we would have to do a separate ordinance again to address it.
How much does a twin home sell for?
No idea.
Less than a duplex?
Probably about the same. I don't know. I'm not the one to ask on that, so, no.
How's that? So you got two different properties?
Yes, two different lots,
Lots?
and the houses are touching each other
Mhm.
on two different lots.
So it's the same structure, and like what I'm hearing is that the twin homes just allows you to sell each unit as by itself, whereas a duplex you're not. It's one owner for for the one property.
Yes. So
But
it,
the-
A lot would be split in two, so
Yeah.
twin, but you would own the footprint of the house as well.
it's the
Correct.
same roof, right?
But the construction of the
Almost
the
what's in
u-
Still Creek?
Construction's the same.
is the same. Yeah,
God, those one homes are right.
right.
I mean, they end up looking a lot like condos
Maybe.
because you can make one
different
side of
lots.
it look different than the other,
You can.
I think so.
just
So-
depending on your builder.
Yeah, and whereas in a duplex,
I don't even hear twin homes anymore. Do they actually make those anymore?
Make what?
Twin homes? Do they build them?
do we have any twin homes yet in Plains? We have duplexes, but no twin homes.
There's some
But-
Even in
complexities
Utah.
here.
I mean, like I say, 50 years ago.
Right, they were all the rage.
Townhouses are the new twin.
Yeah.
What happens when you need a new roof, but only one?
Usually it's part of an HOA.
Oh,
That's a bad word.
so
What
they're,
happens when somebody's playing their music?
Twin
while
home or
they share a wall?
a townhouse is part of an HOA, and the HOA, they pay an HOA due, and they maintain the outside of the structure.
Do bang on the wall.
landscaping.
Right?
So if we were doing that
Imagine
with
the
a twin
anxiety
home
I
though,
would have.
if we were allowing them to put twin
I
homes
don't wanna go back to that.
mixed into a subdivision, you couldn't necessarily have an HOA just for one twin home. I guess you could.
Okay, but you're getting so deep in this. If you sell it and each person owns their own, then if they need a new roof, they put a new roof on.
What if one of them doesn't want it?
Well, then they don't have to put it on.
So half the
I'm
roof
getting
is-
deep
half-
because
half
You'd
the
have
roof-
half the roof with new shingles and half the roof with none.
I think this is gonna be, I don't like this.
I don't like it either,
I
but
say
that's what
no.
twin homes are. You
No to
can't
twin
force
homes.
somebody to
Yeah.
do it.
I mean, you could put a,
Building code, you can't repair, I mean, that would be one continuous roof system.
right.
You have to replace the whole roof in order to meet the building.
I think you're asking for lawsuits there.
I guess if you were smart, you'd put a wall up between, you know, a parapet wall up between.
You could. That's actually not a bad
You'd
idea.
build it that way so you wouldn't have that problem.
I don't like this.
And you'd
I
have
think
to
there's
put it
too
on
many
your
questions.
side of
Like
the
'em either.
property line too.
Yep.
And this adds a whole nother ordinance for Trent to enforce and inspect.
Well, you just would have different setbacks, because one side will be a 0.
So you would essentially treat this just like a duplex though, on two different lots.
As far as the construction, everything that he's inspecting would be the same. Yeah.
Okay.
This just changes the ownership and
Has
lot
somebody
line.
come into the city and wants to build these things? Why is this a discussion?
My understanding is the mayor is searching for
Ways to get-
attainable housing.
Or if you wanna call it by its old word, it's fine too. Affordable.
Affordable. It doesn't exist.
Neither does attainable.
I don't know, honestly, we could look into this and see if it's an option. I don't know anything about it. I don't know if other
Is
cities.
there, are there, that's what I was wondering, are there any other communities that have,
Well, and what is the, I would think we still want a
Where'd they come
frontage
up with
that's
this?
reasonable. So what is the difference of doing a overlay, a residential overlay, and get even smaller lots, but you get your own home? I just don't see any advantage for this.
So hold on, you could do smaller lots, you could do 50-foot frontage lots, right? And combined, you would have 100. But our ordinance on a duplex
It's
is
150.
150.
And I would not be inclined to only do 50-foot frontages.
So you could do 75, they could go down to 75, right?
for the,
Which would be cheaper. Yeah, 75 and 75.
oh, that's 150?
Yeah, they give you 150. Unless the mayor wants to go lower than 150.
Of course he does, but that
He
would-
does. We
That's
know
the
he
whole
does.
point, is we're trying to not make our city look crowded. So why not just focus on a residential overlay and let them, I think those are 60-foot frontages usually, right?
Mm-hmm. You're right.
Yeah, but could you put two of the houses right next to each other
No,
in
we
those?
want that. We want space in Plain City. We don't want 0 lot lines.
A lot of people can't afford space.
What is the
That's why they go
difference
up to
if you
the-
have
that's why they go
60-foot
up to
or
JDC.
75?
Yeah, what?
What's the difference if you have 60-foot or 75 and have, if you have 60-foot, which is smaller, and you have your own setbacks in your own home with your own 4 walls, why is that worse than a 75-foot that you're sharing with somebody?
I'm with you. I agree. I don't like the look of townhomes. I don't,
Take a look at those homes that are being done in there in JDC and how close, I mean,
the backs, there's what, 10, 15
If
feet
that-
between them?
not even that.
They
And there's
look
no windows.
terrible.
There's no
And you know,
windows
though,
in there.
people want that.
That's okay, they can go
Yeah.
get it from Nielsen.
That's right,
Those
yeah,
are
I'm
not
saying.
available in Plain City.
Yeah,
Okay. So, final decision, no on twin homes, right?
I would say no.
No,
What
okay.
do you think? I
I'd say
talked to
no.
Matt.
Yeah, I'd rather see
Well,
the
I
way I
think-
see it, if we separate the homes on smaller lots, then the builder's required to do 2 exterior walls. That I think is what they're trying to save, is by combining those, it cuts out a lot of the cost, but they're not gonna see that as a resident. They're paying per square foot, and so the square footprint is the same. But instead of like cramming them together and making them share a wall and cause all the issues there, we have setbacks in between, and we just do smaller lots. That's what I'd rather see than.
And a smaller frontage, a shorter frontage.
And if
I
we're
would
gonna
think
have
that's
like
fine.
shared walls, then I think we go all the way and, do some 4-unit townhomes or something like that and have a space for that and decide where we want them to be, but, I mean, that's a different discussion, I think.
Mm.
Yeah.
In our normal residential neighborhoods that we've been designing, I don't think we need to share a wall. There's plenty of space. That's my opinion.
Dustin, what do you think about twin homes?
Based on previous comments, I'm sure you guys know what my thoughts are on that, but I don't see how that's gonna work, especially if he's trying to utilize the ordinance that we have for duplexes. Is that what he's saying? Like, hey, instead of doing the duplex on the half-acre lot with 150-foot frontage, what about townhomes? Was that his presentation?
No, my understanding is this would be a new ordinance.
That's the way I see it too.
But it's true, he talked to me about him a year or two ago
Yeah.
and said, that is exactly right, Dustin. He wants to be able to utilize the same thing as a duplex, but allow people to own each side of the duplex.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think for some of the complications that have been talked about here, I think if it was a full development of twin home, like a twin home development with the HOAs that covered the shared portions of things, it would maybe work, but in this particular situation, I don't see how it would work and work very efficiently, is my opinion.
Yeah.
I understand where he's coming from, I see his vision, but I just don't know how to make it work right.
I can find a few ordinances, you know, I Googled it.
Are they old?
No, Provo's got one. I mean,
Oh,
but
really?
they're all very, you know, Provo,
We don't want to be Provo.
yeah. Mill
I would
Creek,
like to be-
Santaquin,
Oh.
West Valley,
It's getting worse.
Cedar City. Those are the ones
College
that
towns,
those are the
Yeah.
ones that I can find off.
Good point, yeah.
What's that, Shauna?
college towns.
Trent, Marriott, Slaterville
Yeah.
doesn't do this, right?
Exactly. There it is.
Marriott doesn't do any
Where
twin.
they
A lot of young couples.
young couples rental.
duplexes.
But again, you know, maybe I'm not saying it's good out here, but too young to that point. Our housing study definitely saw a deficiency with regards to that age demographic in our town. So
We've talked about this before, though. My opinion is not everybody deserves to live in Plain City, right? Wait, hold on. I didn't say that right. But no, but for example, when I was young, I couldn't afford to live in Plain City. And so I had to leave. I lived in downtown Ogden.
But
And-
also, we have this option of commercial property on the edge of town where they want to
can
put
have
in
higher
condos.
density.
I would rather make that easier for them to put those in and have that for younger people housing than to go in the middle of the city and put twin homes.
I think
Yeah.
we need, before we get into this, you know, looking into this type of an ordinance, I think we need to look at the general plan and reopen that and start looking more at where we can put those type of developments that are higher density.
Yeah, and then get rid of that stupid 18.5 thing.
Well, yeah, there.
Just make it 19.
So that's what I would want to do first, is have that ordinance, have our general plan opened up, and us look at it and really look at where we would want to see.
It was supposed to be opened up 3 years ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's way overdue. So, but I think that's the,
I know we'd started a discussion about that like that.
We did. There were budgeting questions that came up that we never fully resolved. But yes.
but I think that's the best way to handle.
So I guess the question
That
is it in the 25 budget?
We had some in the 24
I
budget.
went to a meeting and the mayor said that we could have the money for it. I think the bigger holdup is who's going to help us with it.
To hire someone to do
Yeah,
it.
some of those bids
We
came
thought
in.
that Bruce Park,
I thought it was Hanson. Oh, Bruce.
we thought that he could help us, but it ended up he wasn't necessarily what we wanted
Yeah.
for developing a small town. But I do
didn't like
think
Bruce.
Hansons are great if they want to help us.
I would say you get what you pay for in this instance, and yeah, we should also, in addition to, you know, looking at bids and doing the lowest bid, maybe do an interview process with them.
We interviewed that
Yeah,
Bruce guy first, but
I think that would be a way to go, is to have, you know, I mean, you can do that as part of the RFP. You know, and interview them and ask them, what's your perspective on this, and what's your focus? Because you might find some things that appeal to you.
yeah.
And
I Just remember Bruce came back and said subsidized housing is the answer. And immediately I was done with Bruce.
Right.
That was terrible.
And, you know, we had that when we last reopened the general plan. I mean, we're kind of off track a little bit, but we felt like what we got as a general plan with the consultant we had was way too urban of a solution.
Well, I know their map, I hate their zoning map, it's so abstract,
It's a mess.
I can't tell really where the
It takes forever to figure out where
It was
line starts and.
confusing, and so it would be nice to, that's why I'm saying maybe an interview process would be extremely helpful.
Okay, let's focus back on the
Sorry.
twin homes. No, it was a good discussion. I don't know, are we kind of all talked out on the twin homes? I feel like everybody kind of got their opinions out.
Yeah,
I just don't see anything that's a plus, sorry.
but may I make a note from our minutes that we talked about the duplexes in our December 12th meeting. There were some comments about their, not wanting duplexes, maybe even not even having the ordinance like that. We have to be careful, because that has to go through the city council because it's a legislative item. And if they wanted to, they could write their own.
Yeah, and that could very well happen. So
we have to be cautious in the.
That could happen.
that's a very good point.
They have gone around us before.
Yeah,
Right.
They have the right to. They're the ones that get voted in.
so.
Yeah. Okay. All right, let's move on. We've got on here the front lot line definitions. We talked about this last time, didn't we?
We did.
Did we kind of come to a resolution on everything?
Well, we talked about, because again, and we go back to the minutes, talking about how we wanted to, and have it noted that, about the setback. Unless we're gonna want it along measured along the street, it says along the street. And not setback.
So one of the issues we had was the definition was inconsistent in different places.
Where's it, I haven't seen yet where we have it at, noted that it's at the setback.
We do have, is it in the subdivision ordinance that it says?
I don't know, that she's.
We have it
gone through a couple of
somewhere
them.
where it says that the lot line is measured at the setback. We had that issue because specifically of cul-de-sacs, right?
Yeah. But I found out that was where they were taking their measurements from.
The street?
Well,
But
no,
does it
from
matter?
setback.
If the street and the setback is the same, does it matter?
No, but Trent, do you always do it at the setback?
You know, it's not something I typically review. It's usually done by you guys and the engineers, and that's how it's approved. But typically, everywhere I've ever worked, it's been in a cul-de-sac, it's been measured at that setback line. The issue with getting a hard number there is you can't really say, okay, it's 30 feet. Well, then you go to one of your rural residential subdivision or your, what do you call them, cluster subdivision.
That has a
What's the
smaller
word? Yeah, and so then all of a sudden you go, right now that's 25-foot setback. So if you go 30, then all of a sudden you go to your rural residential and you're pushing to 30, so.
I don't think we were talking about saying the feet. We were just saying at the setback,
at the
whatever.
At the setback, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what, I think you're fine if you say at the setback, but if you start giving a defined number,
Yeah.
some of your zones vary, and so you don't wanna.
So do you want to just change that and say at the setback line?
Yeah, we might need to change that in multiple places, though.
Well, every one of
So,
these-
but the other issue was, what's the difference between frontage and front lot line? We were thinking maybe that's,
Oh, you know what? Now that you say that, that is one of the things that we talked about, huh?
Because we do have that in our definitions.
Yeah, they're defined separately.
is there a difference between frontage and front lot line?
I didn't think there was.
There shouldn't be, because one of them references the other in the definition. But are we thinking we should just get rid of one of those definitions completely?
I think so.
Okay, which one do we want to keep?
Oh, that's, okay, so here's where it does talk about setback line.
It talks about it on the front lot
Cul-de-sac
line.
shall be
Yeah.
required
Right.
at setback line.
So should we get rid of the the definition of frontage and keep the front lot line?
They're two different things, the way I look at it, because your frontage, you're measuring, you're saying, okay, this is the frontage, this is where you're taking that frontage, and then the front lot line is where that, so I think they're two separate things, and you should have two separate definitions.
Okay.
I've kind of been going through in some of the other cities around, I've got Far West pulled up, and they have two definitions for it. And Marriott-Sladeville also has two definitions. However, of the three cities that I do work in, they're all different definitions. There's not one that's remotely close.
Nice.
So,
So,
I'm not sure Google AI is telling me, you know, frontage refers to the entire length of the property line that touches the street, while the front lot line specifically denotes the property boundary line that separates the lot from the public road.
Which that lines up with our two definitions.
Yes.
The front lot line says at the setback. The
Yeah.
frontage says at the street.
so the frontage is, we're thinking of the lot, that's your frontage. So
Yes.
this is the front of the lot, on a normal rectangular lot, that's the frontage.
Yep, where it touches the
Um,
street.
The front lot line, we're talking about the house and which way it abuts and the direction it's facing. So to me, it's two different definitions.
Right.
But you guys, I mean, you guys get to make the call and if you want to
So-
change.
No, it's good to have you here because this is
With that
providing a
information,
perspective.
this frontage at curved streets or on the ends of cul-de-sacs shall meet the required lot width at the setback line. That's on the front lot line, and that sentence should be on the frontage.
No, the frontage is along the street. Right,
Yeah.
Trent?
That's the way I
Yeah.
Thing is when we talk things, we're always saying frontage, and we're not always referring to frontage.
We do, you're right. I think that's
that's all.
probably a mistake that we should change, or something that we should change. We should stop calling it frontage. Because the definition clearly, what we are talking about is the front lot line, right?
Okay, so then under the frontage, we have frontage on a corner lot shall be limited to one street only. So should that be part of the front lot line?
No, I don't think so.
So, hold on, okay. So this undoes everything we've talked about. So,
I tend to do that.
no, you're good. So the original issue was, somebody had a corner lot, and they wanted to take both sides.
Count both sides.
To count as their frontage, which, according to that definition, that is
Could have
frontage.
At the time, yes.
But we don't care about frontage, we care about front lot line, which is the direction that their house is going to
No.
face
So
at
the
the
frontage
setback.
so the frontage is what we care about. In that instance, that one says you could have counted both. If you're a corner lot, you could have counted both segments.
Yeah.
So we're trying to do away with that, which I noticed Far West is only one side and Marriott-Sladeville is only one side. So then we would be consistent on that aspect. Front lot line, then we're talking about the direction the house faces, and then we have several lots that are corner lots. I mean, almost every subdivision you have several. We have a lot of lots that the house faces one direction, garage faces the other. And so
But if that's
we address the house based off of typically the way the direction the front door is facing. So if the front door is facing west, their garage comes off to the south, we address them off where the front door is. So that's where the two definitions are kind of different. Frontage is just that segment on the road.
I'm still
Front
confused.
lot line is kind of where so that's kind of where I'm clear as mud.
Right, because you're saying on a corner lot, you want the frontage to only count one street.
When we come to in our site development standards, we say you have to have 100-foot frontage. So that would be, we have 100 foot and that's the direction.
But then in front lot line, which you're saying is kind of the way the house faces.
Yeah, and then that's kind of more of where the direction we're gonna address it to. I mean, there's other things, but, so to me, there needs to be two different definitions. But you guys obviously can override me, that's just the
But
way.
I still don't know why that doesn't mean that the setback wouldn't be part of frontage instead of part of front lot line.
I think it should be in both. Not by that, so.
But, so, sorry, Trent, I've asked you this before, sorry. The frontage is at the road,
Yeah.
Yes.
That tells us that, right?
so we don't want to measure lot line width off of the frontage, we want to do it off the front lot line.
Okay, so answer this question for me. In our,
And you go back to what's the difference?
in our ordinance, when we talk about setbacks.
Talking in circles.
In our ordinance, when we talk about setbacks, don't we call it out as frontage?
Yes.
I think that's just the
So
verbiage
you're-
that we use.
Okay, that's fine, but then our
Incorrectly.
definition doesn't include setbacks on frontage, and that's what,
So you're saying maybe
And that's what I'd say.
I'm saying in the ordinance, then it needs to be
change that to front lot line. I agree.
Yes, I'm sorry, I get what you're saying now. I thought you were referring to us just calling it frontage, but in our actual ordinance, it says frontage. You're right, I'm sorry,
It's okay.
I wasn't following that
It's
for
all
a
right, I
minute.
can take it.
You remember Monty Python, the Holy Grail, when the king was telling the guard to stand at the. and
I have never seen that,
Not
sorry.
to guard unless, yeah, that's exactly where we're at right now.
Okay. Okay, so we're gonna leave the definitions as is.
But we need to
We're
examine,
changing just the frontage on a
Oh,
corner
we're
lot
crossing out
limited to
the
one
two
street.
streets, yeah, it needs to just be one street.
You take streets of a corner lot off.
Yes, yep, we're taking that out, which is crossed out. And then we're going to, in our other ordinances, we're going to swap out the word frontage for front lot line. And then we're gonna do our best in meetings to call it front lot line instead of calling it frontage.
Well, I don't think so, because frontage, we're saying, is on the street, right?
Right.
Yeah, but when we're talking about the frontage of cul-de-sacs,
Well, what we'll say is front setback.
yeah.
yeah, no, yeah, we could call it that. Okay.
I think what you've got, Tammy, what you've got, yeah.
Leave it, and then we'll need to change other ordinances that use that verbiage.
Did you see another one? He had a
Maybe
pause.
just require more discussion.
So sorry, Tammy, just to clarify, there are ordinances that use the word frontage that we want to change the front lot line.
Because that specifically calls out that it's measured at the
The
setback.
setback. And it's probably in a few ordinances, right?
I think it is.
Probably be in 3 or 4. Be in the cluster subdivision, yeah. Okay,
Sorry, Tammy.
all right, okay. I think that's it. Is there anything else? Let's move on to report from city council.
Okay,
Trent, thank you for being here.
thanks, Trent.
We really appreciate it.
All right, they had a lively presentation of the city audit.
Oh, I'm so glad you had to go to the meeting and not me.
It was okay, it wasn't that long. And you have to forgive me, my notes are on my desk at work. I didn't, before I left my office, I didn't bring them home, but I've got the agenda pulled up here. They did the final acceptance of Plain City Fields subdivision, the Scott Wayment subdivision, and also final approval for the Esker Patio Estates. They set a public hearing for the rezone for AJS Investments, or not the rezone, sorry, the
Annexation.
annexation. All right, and then they also set the formal time and place for the city meetings at 6:30, because, they like to, and then went on and went through the approval of business-wide licenses and the warrant register. I will try to look at my notes, and if there's anything that sticks out, because I think there were some things in the audit that I think were concerned, were of note for the planning commission with regards to impact fees and other items that might be of interest to us that I put down, but I'll get that to you. Sorry about that. They did ask me to look into twin, like we talked about when I reported the twin homes and duplexes and what the difference was, and I told you, kind of what I expressed to the council was, if you're gonna do that, then it's gonna have to be an entirely separate ordinance. I did not say, I wish I would have, that it would be better to start addressing the general plan and get that open before we jumped into this, because I think my feeling is, and I'm kind of my comments now, that doing that will lead to some better solutions to address the issues that we have based on our housing report.
Did they talk anything about that trail that Jeff
Yes.
came in about?
Yeah, they did, and they talked about the trail. Jeff is working on a plan for the trail, according to what we talked about, not having it on the other side of the street. It'll be completely enclosed and along there. It's going to be relatively short, but they do want a trail around it.
Okay.
Was the commission, was the consensus.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Who goes next?
Oh, to the city.
I think
Yeah, me?
Blake?
Oh, Commissioner Neal.
Actually, well, I'll be in Mesquite. Soccer tournament.
That sounds
Will
more
not be
enjoyable.
Commissioner Neal.
So-
I might be able to make it.
Will you?
Yeah, I'll see what I can do. Okay, let's do commissioner comments. Let's start with Dustin. Dustin, do you have any comments for us?
Oh, I think I'm good tonight. Thank you.
Yep, hope you get feeling better.
Thank you.
Commissioner Ortega.
Do we have a schedule yet for which meetings we're assigned to?
Because I noticed
Yeah.
this is still
Yeah.
2024.
I sent it out.
I know you did send it to us.
I have
Oh,
seen
so
it.
it's in the email?
It was in an email.
Yeah, I thought I saw it, and then I checked, because I usually look at the back of the minutes, and it was last year's, but,
Yeah, that was last year, so I.
okay, but you sent it out, I think I saw it, so,
And
never
with
mind.
everybody's email and phone numbers, there was a list of that and your times when you,
Yeah.
But will you start putting it on the minutes again?
yeah.
Is that okay?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
This year's minutes.
Okay,
Yeah.
super. Oh, yeah.
It was
this is
last year's
December.
Okay, and then.
Tammy's on it.
I'll try to be there next week too, if.
Okay.
Cover, but, yeah, that's all.
I was gonna say, you're usually regular.
Yeah.
I came in late to the meeting and you weren't there, and I was like, oh, no.
Oh.
So.
Yeah, I had a lot going on for December, but I should be clear now, so,
Okay.
that's all.
Thank you. Commissioner Faulkner?
The only thing is, I just wanted to, I know it will just be in the minutes, I don't know if they'll ever see it, but I appreciate Warren's being so welcoming to the city and
Oh,
hope
yeah.
they're successful. It was nice,
Looking
fun to go
forward
over
to
there
it.
for a minute.
Next week,
Monday.
Monday, I will let Margot know. Okay.
Commissioner Neal?
Okay, as I mentioned earlier, I had a discussion with multiple individuals out north there, and some of them have that reservoir type irrigation system for their secondary water. As you drive along 3900, you'll see it.
Oh, yeah.
It's at Treasure Acres. It's actually part of the county. But the complaints they have on that.
Yeah.
It's very low pressure, they hardly get any pressure that comes through there. They run out of water, they have to wait for their next irrigation schedule to fill it up, like that. They measure it, they're losing it to evaporation.
Yeah, because it's exposed.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, and those that are right next to it are complaining about the mosquitoes. I've heard a lot of issues regarding that. That's what Sage Creek wants to do, and also the Jackson property wants to do.
And you know, the further west you get into the marshes out there, the mosquito
Yeah,
problems.
oh yeah, I remember we had a horse out there, and I had to go get it. I had my daughter with me, and we ended up turning around. We didn't get the horse.
Because of the mosquitoes?
It was so bad.
Yeah, it can be at certain times.
But anyway, so, I don't know, I'd like to push that they've come up with some underground type irrigation. I think they talked to Mountain View, and Mountain View has no interest in servicing that area, so, but I think they need to look at different avenues for their water.
Is Mountain View Marriott's?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like that. So, and then also the sewer issue, having that, each individual lot, I mean, if you look at the number of lots that Jackson's wanting to do and what they're gonna do, I mean, that's a lot of little septic grinders, whatever they are.
Yeah.
Like that.
It is.
So, I don't know if there's a way that they can make their,
Well, and some people are really good at keeping up on that, and some are just not, right?
well, if they can come up with a different process, or so that they can, goes to the ponds. But, yeah,
Right.
there's issues, a lot of issues there. And as you heard Shauna, you know, he couldn't really give us a definite number on the shares. All we kept hearing is they have a lot, you know, and so
Plenty, they'd say, we got plenty.
we got plenty.
Yeah, we've heard of him estimate things before, so.
We believed him last time that they had plenty.
So, but the,
I don't think we did.
but the concern that he showed on his map though was, he showed his little reservoir right there next to Dixie Creek. And so we kind of pointed that out, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, oh, we're not gonna pump out of that. Well, you're right there next to it. I mean, it don't take anybody to
Yeah.
really figure out that you will be, that's your plan. So anyways, like I say, biggest complaint I heard was about the open reservoir type.
Okay. Commissioner Ma?
So it's legislation time again. I sit on a government affairs committee for the American Institute of Architects here in Utah, and we have lobbies that track legislation, and there is some legislation related to planning and zoning with regards to housing that is coming through. I haven't gotten much details on them, but when I do, I'll let you know.
Vote all the developers out of the legislature.
Oh, that'd be great, but I don't think that'll
Very many have.
anytime soon, unfortunately. But, yeah, you know, they try and slide some things by with regards to one was about affordable housing, and I haven't gotten the verbiage on it yet, or been able to absorb it, but it's quite they always try something. Anyway, that's all I have.
Thank you. All right, I've got a couple things. First of all, my earlier comment about not everybody deserving to live in Plain City came across more aggressive than it was intended.
I knew what you meant, and I understood.
All right. We are a very welcoming city, and we love our residents.
You earn your way in.
Thing is, I've already seen all the comments on Facebook.
I know.
I'm not even on that.
My house is going to get egged later.
I don't know where you live, so you're all right.
Okay.
Just kidding.
All right, number 2. It is time to choose a new chair and vice chair. So the official document says, during the first meeting in February, a chair and vice chair shall be selected. So not next meeting, but the next.
The thing is that the process is somebody I'm not sure whose term it is expired.
It is me.
Okay. Well, the city council needs to advertise.
They have.
Yes, they've
Okay.
advertised.
Have they appointed you back? Or?
No, so I have opted to not go again.
Oh, not going to be on the committee?
No, it's been 5 years and I've loved it. It's been great. It's been great getting to know you guys and everybody in the city. But just, my kids are getting to an age where Thursday nights are a little tough. So
Yeah.
I'm going to take a little break. I do want to come back someday, but we'll see how long that takes.
I'm sad about that.
So
Wow.
I am too. I really do enjoy this and it's been fun. In fact, I'll say this, being chair has been more educational than the other 4 years combined.
Yeah.
It's been a learning experience, so.
So you're saying whoever's around to sign that Mylar is the one who needs to watch?
Yeah, when we were talking about that earlier, I was like, oh, yeah. We'll prove that conditionally. No. Hopefully I'm still involved in when you guys open the general plan, I'd love to be a part of it.
Yeah.
So. But, so thank you, everybody, for the
Yeah.
Well, in that case, then,
experience.
do you know if they've advertised it? Have they got anybody?
I think it advertised today.
Well, it's been on for a few days, but they all have to be in on Monday.
Okay, by Monday.
So if nobody comes in, then you have to stay, right?
I don't know how that works.
We can let them do year by year.
So it does, it specifically says,
For a period of time with that.
Yeah, that's Yeah.
It says a term is 5 years and until his or her successor is appointed. So technically, it would be me until somebody else is
Right.
appointed.
I think there's, I can't imagine
I
anybody.
just call in every time,
No,
and say,
I-
excuse me, excuse me.
I think there's 2 or 3 people who are interested, so it
Okay.
should fill. But
Well, then the city council would appoint, so basically then, if they follow procedure like that in the past, then Rob would move up, and then the new one
Yeah.
would be the alternate.
yeah, that's true.
Like that.
So Rob, if you're interested, you're in.
That, whatever.
I think it'd be good to have you.
I think so.
I think so too. I think you do great.
The whole purpose of an alternate is to kind of get an feel and education of it, and I don't know. And when we did that whole chair, vice chair thing where we rotate through, that was the whole purpose, I felt.
But I think it's
Gain
totally up to the
experience.
mayor, right?
Yeah.
Honestly, I forget that you're an alternate.
Alternate, yeah.
I thought you were saying forget that you're here.
No. So anyway, let's think about it for next time. We've been doing this rotation. We kind of deviated from that a little bit. So if there's somebody who wants to be the chair or vice chair, come prepared next time to talk about it.
I think it would
Yeah.
just
Well,
go to Jared.
technically, it goes to,
And I'd be happy to do it, so.
Okay. So yeah, if anybody wants to volunteer for that,
well, if you
No.
follow,
we'll just vote somebody.
I think it
That'd
would
be
be
Blake.
Blake.
if you follow the timeline stuff like that, then I'd be next
Yeah.
after Jared.
Okay. I think we're ready to get out of here.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 It's my favorite motion.
This was a long one. I'm sorry that it
So
was so
while
long, everybody.
while we were talking on the Hatch subdivision, I did some voodoo magic, like,
Recording stopped.
it's about 20 feet, and this is approximately